Welcome back, everybody. As I've mentioned earlier, an exploration geologist, Nick Norman, has been breaking down the field of geology through his writings. He brought us books such as Geological Journeys, Geology Off the Beaten Track, Box of Rocks, and his latest, Going Into Ground, a geologist adventure in Africa and South Africa. Now, from South America's Brazil to Guyana, Africa's Namibia to Uganda, this book opens us up to Norman's journey filled with traveling, farming, and a spiritual awakening that made him fall back in love with his birth continent. Well, Norman is on Skype right now to tell us more about this offering. Norman, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
In your previous works, you've written extensively about the field of geology. Take us through this new offering and why it was important for you to detail it in this book.
I felt it was important to detail the adventures, and the important thing about this book is really just to focus on the subtitle, which is A Geologist's Adventures in Africa and South America. And during days of exploration in all of the places that you mentioned and a whole lot that you didn't mention, there were many adventures, and they're nice stories. And like most of us, I enjoy hearing stories and I enjoy telling stories. And the whole of my life so far has been a story filled with subsidiary stories. So that is what I felt compelled to share with people. If you've got something worthwhile that you would like to share with people, that's what you do. You either send them a photograph, or you do, as in this case, you write a book.
Mm-hmm. Now, unpack for us this journey that led you to become a geologist, as you tell it not only in this book, but your other writings as well.
Well, it was a very fortunate decision that brought me into the field of geology. I had an uncle who I met when I was in my first year of university, when I was really undecided as to what career I was going to follow. I met an uncle who had come to South Africa from Canada and traveled around to the various projects, various mines of his company. He was consulting geologist for a company, a New York-based company called Newmont Mining. And they have various mines in South Africa. And he visited them, and during the course of those travels in South Africa, he came to visit his brother, my father, and I met him for the first time, and I was busy wrestling with the decision of what to do at university, what career to follow in my life, and I met this geologist uncle, and I thought, my goodness, this is for me, this is what I'd like to do. So he said, you must try and get as much experience as you can while you're still a student. So he arranged for me as a student to work in various projects of his contacts, of his company. And so even before I graduated, I had been to places like Tsumeb, like Palabora, like the diamond fields in what was then still Southeast Africa. Mm-hmm. And so by the time I graduated, I'd had a lot of experience already, and I knew that this was what I wanted to do.
And you write so well about some of the African countries you've explored. Do tell us about your love for Africa and the wild parts of the continent that you say, they always call you back.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because it's something I do love to talk about. I grew up on a farm in the Midlands of Natal, which is hardly Africa, really. It's very tame. And as a kid at school, I went to stay with my sister in Tanganyika, as it still was. I went to stay with a school friend in Livingston, and then my love affair with Africa started. And it was the wild parts of Africa. And as you will know if you've read the book, the times that I've spent in the bushveld, in the veld, Kruger National Park or Botswana, Okavango, wherever it may be, in the wilds of Africa, are something that just haunt me, and I love to spend time there. I feel truly at peace in those places, and having worked for a year or two in Brazil, I had thought I might settle in Brazil, but I realized then No, my roots are deep in Africa, and however long I spend in Brazil, I will come back
Okay.
to Africa. Yeah.
All right. You know, you've just aroused our curiosity around the field of geology, but unfortunately we have to end it there, Nick. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much for having me.
That's geologist and writer Nick Norman, and we were just in conversation about his fourth book entitled Going Into Ground, a geologist's adventure in Africa and South Africa. Let's take a quick break.